This is Kathy from Gadget Stop 321, and in today's video I'm going to be comparing 3 yellow inks. Now 2 of these I've played with before. Pent, Kotoba No Iro Lemon, and you can see it looks almost black. Sailor Manyo Yamabuki, quite a different looking ink. And this last one I haven't played with before. It's Lamy Mango, so it may not even technically be a yellow ink, but we will see in this comparison. Now I'm going to use my Victorinox pocket knife to do the ink swatches, and then I've got 3 pens with medium nibs that I'm going to do the writing samples with. I'm going to start out with the Pent ink. Now let's see if it'll stay on the pocket knife. Yeah, look at that. Looks like a black ink. All right. We'll zoom in a little bit for these. A very interesting ink, very concentrated yellow. And I'm going to dip my nibs in each sample. Now, let's see if I can get this to focus. In each of these pens, I have a Pen BBS medium nib. Not wanting to focus. Let me see. Yeah. Just says iridium point. I haven't written with these either, so hopefully they are not too scratchy. I ordered these nibs to kind of play with, maybe practice grinding my own nibs. All right. I'm going to dip this again. This is not the smoothest nib, and it's almost acting like, well, that wouldn't make sense. I was going to say it's acting like it's got baby's bottom, but if that were the case, I would think it would be too smooth. Let's see. All right. Not the best writing experience, but since I haven't used that nib before, these may need a little smoothing. I probably should have tested them before trying this. Okay, next is the Sailor Manyo Yamabuki. This is going to be a little more of a golden yellow. Looks kind of like melted butter. I'm really putting it on here thick. I hope this will dry in time to compare these. If not, I may just have to pause the video. All right. This was a pretty pleasant ink to write with in a medium nib, so I've got kind of high hopes for this one. Make sure the feed is good and saturated. The S was a little bit dry, but the rest of this looks pretty good. We'll take a closer look in a minute after I get all of these written. And the last one is the surprise, Lamy Mango. I haven't tried this one yet. Make sure my knife isn't contaminated. So far we have two very different yellows. There we go. This might be quite a bit more orange. Well, interesting. I thought it was going to be darker, but it actually looks lighter than the Yamabuki. Wow, that's a surprise. I don't know if I'm gonna like this coming out of a nib though. I'm gonna have to get this good and saturated. Okay. All right. Yeah, this is surprisingly the most watery of the bunch. Wow, look at that. I mean, it feels watery. It's not very viscous. You know, the ink is coming out. I did a wetness test with the first one. See the Sailor Yamabuki. Yeah, they're all about the same wetness, putting out the same amount of ink, which they're the same nib, but this is much less saturated. I'm going to pause the video for just a minute and give these ink swatches a chance to get completely dry, and then we'll compare them. Okay, this turned out very interesting. I'm kind of surprised. The Kotoba no Iro, or the Pent Kotoba no Iro Lemon. Look, when I really laid it down heavy, look what it did. That's just weird. Now, this is technically down here. I guess what it's going to look like. You can see a little bit of shading, but that's just weird what it did to the paper in the middle of the swatch. I guess me going over it when it was wet really roughed up going over it with the knife, moving it back and forth, really roughed up the paper fibers. That was weird. I do like the shading in this ink though. It's a true yellow, and I like the shading. The only one of these inks that I've done a true writing sample with all the nib sizes, is the Yamabuki. So I'm looking forward to doing a full writing sample with this one. See how it behaves in the full range of nib sizes. I've got to say the Yamabuki is my favorite. The swatch just turned out really pretty. You can see there's not a whole lot of shading with this ink. You can kind of see it's pretty monotone, but it just looks so soothing. I love the shade. And you can see it's a yellow. There's not a ton of difference between when you did the ink smear on those two. This one has just the slightest hint of orange to it, but it still comes across as a yellow to me. And the Lamy Mango is just a bit too pale, I think. It looks like it's got some nice shading, but with it being so pale, look at that. The ink smear almost wipes completely away. It's just a little bit too pale for me. But I haven't done a full ink workup with this one with the range of nib sizes. I am looking forward to seeing how it looks in the different nibs. But I have a feeling this is one that's going to look its best in pretty broad nibs. But we will see when I do the full test. This was interesting. If you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel.